Hello everyone, my name is Saurabh Tripathi and welcome to the Current Affairs Interceptor YouTube channel. Today is April 21 and we are going to learn important current affairs for April 20 as well as April 21. So let's start. Who is going to be next Chief of the Naval Staff in India? R. Hari Kumar, Dinesh Kumar Tripathi, Karambir Singh or Surish Mehta? So it is Dinesh Kumar Tripathi. Dinesh Kumar Tripathi is currently Vice Chief of the Naval Staff at present and he will assume charge from April 30 afternoon as a next Chief of the Naval Staff in India. So it is Dinesh Kumar Tripathi. He was commissioned into Navy in 1985 in Executive Branch of Navy and he is currently 38th Chief. He is currently 38th Vice Chief of the Naval Staff and he will be 26th Chief of Naval Staff. So it is Dinesh Kumar Tripathi and he is going to Chief of the Naval Staff of India. Indian Navy came into existence on 26 January 1950 and motto, May the Lord of the Water be auspicious unto us. Shanno Varuda. May the Lord of the Water be auspicious unto us. Indian Navy have multiple headquarters divided into multiple commands such as Western Command, Eastern Naval Command, and you should be knowing their headquarters and a little bit about what their function and what they are aimed for. So let's start. Western Naval Command, it is headquartered in Mumbai, Maharashtra and responsible for operation on the western seaboard of India including Arabian Sea. As we know, Mumbai faces near Arabian Sea. So Western Naval Command focuses on very crucial routes, very important sea routes which is on Arabian Sea. There is Eastern Naval Command and it is headquartered in Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh and it is responsible for operation on eastern seaboard of India including Bay of Bengal. Two major naval commands. Suppose this is the peninsular India and this is Mumbai and this is Andhra Pradesh, Visakhapatnam. So this is Bay of Bengal, this is Sri Lanka and this is Arabian Sea. There are lots of ship routes. There are lots of ship goes from here to here. So this is a very important and strategic route and the presence of various naval command helps maintaining focus on major areas of the major protecting India's coastline as well as for maritime security in Indian Ocean region. There is Southern Naval Command and it is headquartered in Kochi, Kerala. It is responsible for operation in Peninsula of India including the Indian Ocean. So Southern Naval Command will be here. This will be Western Naval Command. This will be Western Naval Command. This will be Eastern Naval Command and this is Southern Naval Command. It is in Kerala. It is in Maharashtra. It is in Andhra Pradesh and this is in Kerala. Focuses on Southern Peninsula of India including the Indian Ocean. Next is Andaman and Nicobar Command. It is very important command. Let me tell you, it has one very distinct feature and we are going to discuss about it. It is headquartered in Port Blair, which is the capital of Andaman and Nicobar Islands and it is only tri-services operational command of the Indian Armed Forces responsible for Andaman and Nicobar Island territory. Let's say here is Andaman and Nicobar Islands and this is the presence of Indian Navy here. So this is the only tri-services command, means here Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, all of them work in sync. They are the joint forces protecting the island and preserving the island as well as protecting India's interest in Indian Ocean region as well as providing the humanitarian assistance and disaster relief operations. Next is Naval Training Command, NAVTRAC, and it is headquartered in Kochi, Kerala, responsible for the training of naval personnel including officer and sailor training and development of training policies and programs. So this is a training institute. Additionally, Indian Navy is a very strong navy in the region and it is very important for India to have a very strong navy too. Indian Navy is one of the strongest navy in the world and it is also called Blue Water Navy. Blue Water Navies, who are those are capable of operating all over the world, means they have enough strength, enough technical capability, enough equipments to call the Blue Water Navy, means they can travel all over the world, they can operate anywhere all over the world. First is INS Vikramaditya. It is an aircraft carrier, a modified Kiev class aircraft carrier purchased from Russia. It is capable of carrying a mixed fixed wing aircraft and helicopters, power projection capabilities to the Indian Navy. Aircraft carriers are, are like ships like these, very long ships, and they have airstrip, a mini airstrip where in the middle of the ocean, jets can land there and park there, make a strategic presence of their navies or air force personals. They can place their aircraft carrier in the middle of the ocean, which is impossible without island. So it can act as a mini island where any aircraft can land here, park here, refuel here, and then fly back for operations. So that's how aircraft carrier work in simple terms. So India has a INS Vikramaditya aircraft carrier which is purchased from Russia. Additionally, India is very capable in making its own aircraft carrier, and we have indigenous aircraft carrier known as INS Vikrant. Actually, please remember this: the INS Vikrant has been commissioned on September 2 in 2022. Okay, this is the old information. INS Vikramaditya has been commissioned into Indian Navy, and it is indigenous aircraft carrier, India's first aircraft carrier. It was commissioned at Cochin Shipyard Limited in Kochi, and it has made India very very proud, given that it is one of the very few elite countries who can make their own aircraft carrier. So INS Vikrant aircraft carrier has been commissioned into Indian Navy on September 2, 2022, and it is one of the and it makes India one of the elite countries. It is an indigenous aircraft carrier which shows India's capabilities, technical expertise, and a research capability to make its own aircraft carrier, which is a very advanced thing in its own. Hindustan Zinc has become largest producer of zinc globally, second, third, fourth, or ninth. It is third. Hindustan Zinc Limited is a mining company and a subsidiary of Vedanta Group. Vedanta Group is also a mining company. It is headquartered in London. So Hindustan Zinc Limited become the third largest producer of zinc, and it is a subsidiary of Vedanta Group. Vedanta Group, including its Hindustan Zinc Limited, both are mining company. Vedanta Group is headquartered in London. Second largest producer of coal and steel, coal as well as steel, which is a very very crucial thing for development and growth of a nation. And India, it is a proud moment that India is second largest producer of coal and steel. India is the largest producer as well as consumer of sugar. Okay, it produces largest amount of sugar and consumes largest amount of sugar. Also, it is the second largest exporter of sugar in whole world. It is also second largest producer of cement. Cement industry is backbone of construction industry, and infrastructure is based on construction. Those countries who have ample amount of cement production are more likely to have better infrastructure in future, given that being locally manufactured, being locally produced, it will be cheaper to procure and to build construction projects. It is important question, and keep this important data in your mind. It can be asked, such as the cement producer, coal producer, as well as Vedanta Group. India has delivered BrahMos missile to which country? Cambodia, Vietnam, Armenia, or Philippines? It is a Philippines country, and India has recently exported first ever kind of such a deal. It cost up 375 million. BrahMos name has been derived with two river names. First is Brahmaputra, Brahmaputra of India, and Moskva river of Russia. BrahMos is a medium range supersonic missile, and its range goes up to 450 kilometer. Earlier its range was very very less, and supersonic missiles are those missiles who move at a speed more than the speed of the sound. In fact, it moves at a speed multiple the speed of the sound. Capital of Philippines is Manila, and it is also headquarter of Asian Development Bank. It is a archipelago country, means it is a country made of group of islands together, and it is in Western Pacific Ocean. If you recall from map, it is just below, you can see this, near Taiwan. Currency of Philippines is Filipino peso. The MTCR, the Missile Technology Control Regime, is a group of countries that work together to stop the spread of missiles and technology that could be used to make weapons of mass destruction like nuclear bombs. The Missile Technology Control Regime, MTCR, is a group of countries that work together to stop the spread of missiles, means unauthorized spread of missiles, such as one country gives missile technology to other countries, or one country transposes to missile to other country, and this will lead to chaos all around technology that could be used to make weapons of mass destruction like nuclear bombs. So it is working as a prevention group. It tries to prevent that missile technology is not transferred just like anything. It has around 35 members body, established in 1987 by G7 countries. G7 countries are those powerful advanced economies such as US, Canada, France, Australia, UK. So these countries are called G7 countries, are highly developed, highly industrialized, and have a very strong economic presence all over the world. So these countries have founded this MTCR regime to prevent a spread of missile or sale of missile to countries freely in open market. Which renewable energy company has opened its first office in Gift City? Gift City, it is a Gujarat International Finance Tech City. It is a central business district, and this company is IREDA. IREDA stands as Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency. It is financial institution, and it finances renewable energy projects in India. IREDA is a renewable energy financing company, and it has recently opened its office in Gift City. Gift City, as we know, Gift City is also known as Gujarat International Finance Tech City. It is headquartered in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. The main aim is to develop it as a finance hub, just like we have global financial centers in London, New York, and Hong Kong. Recently, Google has decided to open Global FinTech Operations Center at Gift City in Gujarat. So it is a finance tech city. It is a financial hub, central business district. It is a financial hub, and here multiple finance companies will house themselves, open themselves their offices, and they will work on synergy to provide the finances as well as establish as a finance hub in this place. Just like we see supermarket where multiple brands are available, multiple brands of multiple things are available, in the same manner in a finance hub, multiple finance companies, insurance companies, lenders, as well as various financial institutions are placed together at a single place, so they can work in synergy, work for individual or corporations for betterment of businesses. India's renewable energy mission. India is committed to achieve net zero by 2070. So what is net zero? Net zero means when something is added and something is removed and its effect is zero. So in net zero, when greenhouse gases are emitted from that particular country, greenhouse gases, CO2, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and other various toxic gases are emitted from that country in total from vehicles, industries, and everywhere. And when that government or when that country effectively tries to offset that effect by enabling multiple, renewable energy projects, carbon sink, and multiple ways, so it is diminishing its effect of greenhouse gases emission to reach non-fossil fuel based energy capacity 500 gigawatt by 2030. What is non-fossil fuel? Non-fossil fuel sources are solar energy, wind energy, hydropower. So these are non-fossil fuels, and fossil fuel energies are those petrol, diesel, and gases burning. These are called the fossil fuel based energy, and these gases, these fossil fuels emit large amount of harmful emissions which heats the environment, and it is leading to rise of global temperature rise, and producing extreme weather such as harsher winters and extremely warm summers, even those places who haven't experienced this before. It also aims to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by 1 billion tons by 2030, which is a very ambitious project for a developing country like India. And AGL, which is Adani Green Energy Limited, is building world's largest renewable energy named Khavda Renewable Energy Plant in Gujarat. AGL, additionally, it is the largest renewable energy company in India. Chinese Language Day is celebrated on April 20 every year, to showcase the historic and significance cultural presence of Chinese language, its origin. Which bank has joined newly as a top 50 Asia Pacific biggest lender list by assets? So there is a list of top 50 banks in Asia Pacific, and India has 3 banks in the list this year, and in 2022 it has only 2 banks. It was SBI and HDFC Bank. These were only 2 banks in this list last year, and now one more bank has joined this list, and that is ICICI Bank. Combined with these, they have market capitalization more than 1 trillion USD. These banks are humongous banks, and they are come under top 50 Asia Pacific biggest lender list. If you have pay attention, these 3 banks also are DCIS banks, systematically important banks, domestically systematically important banks. These are called the DC banks. It is notified by RBI that these banks are too important to fail. Means these are the banks holding a very significant amount of influence in India. They operate in a very very large scale at grassroots level. They have very strong presence. So they are too important to fail. Means these are the most crucial banks important for Indian economy. ICICI Bank was named as Industrial Credit and Investment Corporation of India Limited. It was earlier this name. It is a multinational bank, and it is headquartered in Mumbai, Maharashtra. It came into existence in 1994. IMF World Economic Forum has projected India's growth rate for financial year 25, 8.1%, 6.8%, 5.3%, or 7.8%. It is 6.8%. So IMF have projected India's growth rate at 6.8%, and it is a major financial agency of United Nations. It came into existence in 1945, and very recently, MD Kristalina Georgieva has been appointed as Managing Director of International Monetary Fund, which means she is the Chief of International Monetary Fund. She has been re-elected once again as MD of International Monetary Fund. It is headquartered in Washington DC. The concept of IMF was laid down during Bretton Woods Conference. Please remember this, it is a very important question. Which state is the biggest exporter of electronics? Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, or Tamil Nadu? It is Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu has become the biggest exporter of electronics in India. World Hemophilia Day is observed on April 17 every year, and it is a very, serious illness in which blood cannot clot. You know what blood clotting is? When some fingers is cut by some instruments, you will see that blood is coming out at a rapid pace, but at some times later it slows down or starts bleeding. So there is a blood clotting takes place at those cut locations, and blood starts flowing. But those people who have a hemophilia disease, their blood never clots. Their blood continuously keeps flowing, and it is a very dangerous. Such kind of bleeding when the person is injured can lead to the death. So this is a dangerous situation, and Hemophilia Day is observed on April 17th to raise awareness about hemophilia. Ministry of Law Justice has formed a committee to address challenges faced by LGBTQIA plus community, headed by Rajiv Gauba, Dinesh Kumar, Rajiv Goel, and Mukesh Mishra. So it is Rajiv Gauba. Rajiv Gauba is a cabinet secretary of, and he will look after addresses of challenges faced by LGBTQIA community, and it will be headed by Rajiv Gauba. Exercise Purvi Lahar has been conducted by Indian Coast Guard, Indian Air Force, Indian Navy, or Indian Army. It is Indian Navy. Purvi Lahar is a exercise conducted by Indian Navy. Please remember this, it is a very important question. So keep learning every day, even if you don't see results immediately, and don't lose hope, don't feel disappointed. Just keep building yourself silently, layer by layer, and one day you will be at top. Don't leave current affairs. If you have any doubt with this class or any previous classes or with any topic with current affairs, please let me know in comment section. I will answer your queries. If you have any feedback with this content or anything, you want something in a certain way, or you want something, some topics you want to study, learn, please let me know. I will help you as much as I can, and I will take your feedback into consideration. Additionally, if you have liked this video, enjoyed this session, please like it and subscribe this channel so that you can get a timely videos, and it will also motivate me to make more videos for you in future. I'm really grateful that you have joined me. So thank you so much for staying with me, and have a great day.